Hello, this is Warlord. And what we're going to do today is take a look at 3-point lighting in iClone for an Indigo render. And this will be specifically for an Indigo render. Because as many people have found out, what happens in iClone doesn't necessarily transfer to Indigo. Yes, lights in iClone affect it, but there's just a lot of little nuances in between. And sometimes they're not getting the kind of render they'd like to have, like they would in 3-point lighting in photography or something like that. So we're going to take a look at that. Now, in order to make this work, I went to Light Stage, one of the projects that they give you with the program, and I went in and I saved out the bounce lights and the white background. That are these, and let me show you what I'm talking about here. We'll go to the overhead. I've got them turned off right now. That would be these bounce lights, and I just saved them in their location, where they're at, and the drape, the white drape in the background. So that's where those came from, is we'll need those once we get started. So let's go in here and let's look at the main shot. And what I have right now, here is the original. I mean, they do have a system built in. Here's the rim and the key light right here. Now, a 3-point light system is generally a key light, a rim light, which some call a fill light, and then a backlight, or it's called a hair light, a shoulder light, things like that. Well, in this case, we're not going to use what comes with Real. We're just going to go ahead and shut that off. And we're going to use mesh lights. And mesh lights are, excuse me, I didn't shut that off. Mesh lights are something that you build out of mesh and just add the glow channel to. Now, the reason we're using these Omni bounces is because the way they're built, they've got a back that will keep it from spilling over and things like that. You can build your own. You don't have to have them or anything like that. But right now, I've got them off. And let's see what happens when we just hit render and we bring up Indigo and render it. We should just get a black screen because there's no light source really for Indigo to pick up on and render the way I have this set up. And the way it is set up is visually nothing's on. IBL, everything like that is off. And I do have some ambient color so we can see what we're doing. And that is just to demonstrate that this does not make a real big difference to what you do if you want a 3-point light type shot in Indigo. So let's look one more time and see, and you'll see that no matter how it's lit here, we don't have anything happening in Indigo that we can see. It's there. You can let it render long enough where you can change to one of the other filters, and you'll see that it is rendering something. But what we're going to do right now is let's go into Scene, and let's back up. Let's go to the overhead. Let's turn these back on. And basically, this one here would be the fill light. So let's... I'm sorry. It would not be the fill light. It would be the key light. And then this next one would be the fill light. Or the rims, I think they call it. I'm more used to fill light. Now there's 2 of the 3 lights right there. And they're already provided for us. And they have a glow channel. So they're going to show up in the render. So the first thing I'm going to do is shut off the fill light. And we're just going to use the key light. We're going to go back to our shot. And we're going to hit render. Now, it's rendering, and I'm going to go ahead and let it continue to render. And then we're going to turn that one off. We're going to turn the fill light on. We're going to let it render. This is just so we can see the difference. Excuse me. Now, you can see we got a little bit of color coming in here. Here you can tell it's lit from this side. Here you can tell the color, but the character doesn't even really look the same with that kind of lighting. So let's turn them both on. And let's let it render. And it may take a while to start up with 3 renders going. But the reason I'm doing this is to show you how this actually affects the final product. Okay, something didn't work there. Oh, I'm sorry. I turned them both off, didn't I? Turn those on, both of them, and render. We might get results this time. Now that's both of them together. Here's one, the other, and both. We'll let that render out just a bit more. So that shows you there just how using those changes the renders. And let's go ahead and shut these Indigo renders off. And let's take a look at how we would control the intensity of it. Because they basically already have their glow channels set to 100%, I would imagine. We'll just take a look at one and see. Now you could come in here and change this glow material, and that would change its intensity. But what we could also do would be to just shrink the light down if it's a little bit too bright, and reposition it. Things like that. Now let's go back to our main shot and let's see what we have going on now. Now we're a little dark in this area. But as far as getting a better looking shot, I believe we're headed that direction. Now, let's go back. Let's go back to our overhead. And let's render here so we can see how this light influences it. Now you're seeing the influence of each light here. So you can just play with these lights by moving up and down in size, distance to and from, to work with how you want to light the scene, just like you would physically in the physical world. Okay, now what we're going to do is add the third light, our backlight. And what I'm going to do is just clone this one. Oops, hold on, didn't mean to do that. There we go. And since I want to make sure where it's at and I want us to be able to see this in the tutorial, I'm just going to and use the look at feature on this so I don't have to change camera angles. And this way I know if I'm straight, if I'm right behind him. Normally I would change camera angles and look, but I want you to see what I'm doing here. And that may be in the camera shot right there. Now in a white background, I will admit this backlight may not be as important. But there's a lot of people that, I need to pull it up a little, that swear by it. Because it will pull the character out of the background. And let's go ahead and take a look at what we have going on here. Now yes, you can see bright areas up here. And things of that nature. So let's go ahead and let's turn off. And let's take a look, let's take a look at the influence of the lights first. Let's render this out. I guess I should have left the background on if we really wanted to see that. Give that another shot. Main reason I had the background in there, so we can see how it's influencing things here. It's just kind of a guide to show you where the spill from the light is going. So you can see here what we're getting. You can see the brightness on the shoulders, things like that. So let's go ahead and go back to the main shot. Let's render it. Now I'm not going to say this is the way you would 3-point light a shot, but generally, like I said, you start off with your fill light to one side. You start off with your key light 45 degrees to the right. Your fill can be left or right. I don't think that really matters. And if you really need it, then you want to come in with a backlight. I would probably still use one, no matter what. Let's take a look here. Let's see. Hold on. I've basically got two renders going at the same thing. Let's turn this off and render. Here we go. Now we can see how they're lit up better. Things of that nature. If you had like if their arms were out here, you would see a shadow across them. That may or may not be what you want. And it's still a little dark in this area. You can play with moving your key light or your fill light over here on the side to change that. We also don't have any of these lights pointed at it or anything like that. So here you're getting a look at how the shadows and things work in a 3-light environment. Now, if we wanted to darken this down, we could just go in and just scale back those lights. And basically, even though you can use lighting in iClone, I didn't come over here and use anything in this. We could have done some more improvement. We could have used GPU, super sampling, several things. That we didn't even work with. That's still more things you can get into later. This is just to show you basically the concept of setting up a simple 3-point light shot. I really do hope this helps.